The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to Ontario One Call's training regarding the upcoming changes effective December 5th, 2016. Please note that during this demonstration, if you have questions or wish to provide feedback, we have a log chat feature that can be found here. Just click on the little plus in the control panel and type normally in the space provided. Once all training is completed, Ontario One Call will create an FAQ covering all pertinent questions and email a copy of that FAQ directly to you. Further, we will post a copy of that FAQ to our website. Towards the end of this training event, we'll be asking you some questions. To respond to those questions, please use this chat feature. Ontario One Call will be making the following changes effective December 5th, 2016, which we'll be discussing in depth today. Excavators will have the option of inputting tickets as project work. Improvements will be made to the map selection function on the web. Locates processed via the web will require a map selection. A change to the minimum amount of information required to process the locate. The geographic clearance will be retired. We will be going over a number of scenarios today. They are all fictitious, and any relation to projects proposed or underway is not intended nor should be inferred. Let's delve right in and show you the new things as we go. First, we'll need to get to the web portal. So we'll go to the Ontario One Call website at ononecall.com. and click on the Request Online at the top of the page. I must now choose between homeowner, contractor, and infrastructure owner. For this session, I'm going to show you what's changing from the contractor's point of view, so I'll select that. Near the top here, I've got my self-help options. These are training videos which will be updated to reflect the upcoming changes. There is an FAQ and instructions on how to move from our older system from years ago to the newer web portal. Next, there's the link to the web portal login page. And lastly, there's a shortcut for new companies to use the web portal. I'll choose web portal login as I'm an existing user of Ontario One Call's system. As normal, I'll click Agree regarding this waiver. This remains unchanged. I'll be logging in with my username and password. If I have forgotten my password, there's a link to get it reset here. Also, if my company has never used Ontario One Call before, we can open a new account with the new user feature. Let's finish logging in. All of my options are again available to me. That would be create ticket, search for tickets as an excavator, and account settings. And right here you'll find the first new upgrade. There's now an option to create project work tickets. Project work tickets are defined as any request that encompasses an area greater than 1 city block in an urban environment or 1 kilometer in a rural setting, or that will take longer than 30 days duration to complete. These would be such things as water, sewer replacement, deep servicing, utility relocation, or instances where the same type of work is being requested in multiple geographic locations. That could be such things as pole replacements, tree planting, stump removal, anode replacement, mailbox installations, etc. This becomes a flag for the member or the member's locate service provider to review the ticket and either assign it additional resources or reach out to the excavator to understand their work schedule. Let's start off by making a project work ticket. Later, we'll make some standard tickets as well. If you only have one ID associated with your login, this screen will not appear. If you have multiple contractor IDs associated with your login, you must select the correct ID to create your tickets from the drop-down list. Keep in mind the appropriate use of contractor IDs when your IDs contain alternate locate agreements and suppressions. To learn more about these, email solutions@on1call.com. The ticket I'm about to input does not fall under any alternate locate agreement, so I'll choose my non-ALA ID, which is 228597. So this takes me to the locate request creation page that will have your contact information based on your account settings. Once you have confirmed your contact information, you must fill out the working for area. In this example, we're going to be working for the City of Toronto. Next, you'll need to fill out the municipality or community that you'll be working in. You can begin by typing the first few letters and a list will appear. If your municipality doesn't appear, type more letters or scroll through the list. Please note you must select from the drop-down menu or you will receive an error at submission. For today's example, I'll state that I'll be working in North York, a smaller section of Toronto. Next, you would typically fill out the address where you'll be digging. That would be including the civic number, or the house number, the lot or unit if applicable, and the street name. Like the municipality, you'll type the first few letters of the street name and pick from the drop-down list. For this excavation, we're going to be working on Consumers Road. Next, you'll need to identify the two nearest cross streets to your dig location. Most of the time, the system will suggest them for you under the intersection 1 and intersection 2 fields. As always, if they do not appear, begin typing and select each one from the drop-down menu, similar to how you provided your dig street name. If the street names do not appear in the drop-down menu, please ensure you have the correct information before submitting your request to avoid waiting for agent review. Two cross streets are required to provide a high degree of accuracy for the owners of underground infrastructure, as well as for our own notification system. In some circumstances, like with streets ending in court or place, you may only have one intersection available. In those circumstances, the intersection 2 field will not be required and the red asterisk will not be present beside that field. For this project, we're working a full block from Victoria Park Avenue to Hall Crown Place. This fits two of the criteria for project work. So it's a project that will take more than 30 days to complete and a project that is one block in size or larger in an urban area. If a civic number is not provided, a response to the corner lot question is not needed and the field will be grayed out. Here's the next space we're going to see some changes. Ontario One Call currently provides a high detail satellite map where you can select the location of your excavation. As of December 5th, 2016, that selection will become mandatory for web tickets only. Map selection is not yet available over the phone or contractor bridge. The steps we are taking are in preparation for changing how Ontario One Call notifies its members. We currently use the street and cross street data to generate the notification. This process sometimes leads to more members notified than are strictly needed. We're working on a project where we will generate the members who need to be notified of your excavation by using this map selection, and that should reduce over-notification. In turn, that should lead to members being able to complete your locates faster. We are aiming to have the new method of notification ready for deployment in late 2017. We will keep you informed on developments as we progress. Please note that during this phase, Ontario One Call does not review or interpret your map selection. These are sent to our requesting members for reference only. Also note, this map feature will see additional improvements as we move towards the new notification system. If you have your own sketch available, you can also upload it below. However, your personal sketch is not a replacement for Ontario One Call's map selection tool. After you've provided your dig information and you're ready to use the mapping tool, our system will pull up a satellite image of the area based on the dig location you provided. There are also important notes for you to review before beginning the map selection process. These are found just above the map. If you require some additional help when you're in the map selection tool, you may follow the short tutorial provided directly in the satellite map. As before, the zoom tool allows you to zoom in and out on specific areas. The zoom level you select should clearly capture your dig site. Surrounding street names should be visible and easy to read, making it as easy as possible for members to identify where you are digging. The zooming tool can be used by clicking on the plus or minus buttons. If you have a scroll on your mouse, this will also zoom in or out. The zoom level for drawing a map selection will be limited to a specific distance to ensure clarity of the dig location. If you want to scroll up and down the page and stop zooming around the map with the scroll wheel, click outside the map. To pan around the map, hold down the left mouse button and move it around to show your dig location. We're going to do a shape first. It behaves similarly to the tool we've used before. It's just more responsive. You'll notice the shaded area appears before you close off your selection to clearly identify where you are drawing. This shape is also more flexible to changes. Once you have panned and zoomed, next is the drawing tool, which allows you to digitally outline where your dig will take place. You can either select the icon to draw a shape or draw a line. Begin by clicking where you want the drawing to begin. And once you close off the shape or finish the line by double-clicking, you've completed your drawing. The escape button on your keyboard can be used to delete an incomplete selection if you'd like to restart. Once you begin drawing, the map will lock so you don't lose your place. If you're unsatisfied with your location, remove your drawing to move the map. So again, begin by clicking where you want the drawing to begin. Note the color of the lines drawn during this period are red. You can finish the shape by double-clicking. If you've made an error with the drawing tool and would like to start over, select Delete Drawing by clicking on it, or edit the drawing by grabbing a point on your drawing. So this doesn't look quite right. I'm going to make a couple adjustments. That's better. Once you've completed the drawing, a box will appear asking for you to name your selection. I'm going to name it Water Project. Note that once we've completed the drawing, the color of the lines changed to green. Although this doesn't apply to this circumstance, I could draw a second selection now in the locked area. To save the map selection to this ticket, I'll need to scroll down and click Attach Sketch. For the line feature, you can also provide the dimension. The dimension is set to 3 feet as a default. You can increase or decrease this size if you wish. We'll show you the line feature in a minute. I think that's good enough here. You can view, download, and delete your map selection just below the Attach Sketch button. Note, you cannot edit the attached map selection. If you don't like a sketch, please delete it and start over. If you'd like to upload your own sketch, click the Attach a File button, which will let you select the file from your computer. The following formats are accepted: EMP, JPEG, PNG, GIF, and PDF. The size cannot exceed 5 megabytes per attachment. The next step to creating a ticket is to provide us additional details about your dig. The first section you come across is dig size. And coming December 5th, depth becomes mandatory. Length, dirt, or direction, and width are not mandatory. If you're in the Create a Project tool, it's recommended that you add the overall length of your excavation to the ticket to help the members in allocating resources for your project. This ticket is approximately 160 meters long, so we'll input that in the length field and change it to meters. The dig depth represents the maximum vertical distance you're digging. This can assist members in determining whether your request requires their action with a locate or clearance. Please note that measurements can be provided in both imperial and metric at the click of a button. Our maximum depth will be 3.3 meters, so input that there. The next area below requires you to check the boxes that apply to your job, stating if you're digging on public or private property, whether you've pre-marked the area or not, and whether you're digging with machine tools or otherwise. You need to select at least one check in each section. Please note that anytime you select the hand dig checkbox, the website will remind you of the definition of hand digging. You must select I understand and click OK before proceeding. If you do not agree, please click cancel and the system will remove the hand dig selection. You can also indicate that you're using a directional drill or other trenchless methods of excavation in the optional information area. Also in this area, you can request a mark and fax or indicate if a site meeting is requested. A mark and fax will have some infrastructure owners respond by marking out the area and faxing back your completed locate. Requesting a site meet is typical in situations where access to the location or property is difficult, like digging on a secure site where a locator may be greeted by security guards. For this particular project, we are digging on public property only. The area is not marked. We'll be digging by hand and machine tools. And we would like a mark and fax. By default, you'll see the work to begin section filled out for 5 business days from the date you are requesting. If you wish to provide more notice, simply change the date forward. Keep in mind all members have until the end of that date to make all reasonable attempts at completing your locate before it's considered late. You can submit locates up to 1 year in advance of your intended dig. Members will only be notified about your dig 10 days prior to your selected work to begin date if you choose to go with this option. Next, choose the closest type of work from the drop-down list provided. This tells us why you are digging. So we've selected water main repair. Note that because I've selected the Create a Project tool, the priority will automatically be set to project work. This helps the members understand the scope of your work. As of December 5th, 2016, the detailed description of the work becomes a mandatory field. This field will be replacing the current location and extent of work field. This field is where you must provide additional information about your scope of work that was not included in the fields above. Some examples of the types of information you should include in this field are the distance and direction to your dig location from the provided intersections, the specifics about your dig location, including the side of the property you're working on, so front, side, or back, whether you're working on both sides of the street, the on-site contact name and number, and if the area is pre-marked, how is it identified? If you run out of space, you may continue your note in the remarks section below. You may also add the date by which your project is expected to be completed in this field, if you're working in the Create a Project tool. Please do not include instructions like marking additional streets or addresses that are not on the same block. Those need to become separate tickets. This locate is only valid for the location identified in the dig location portion, as only members with infrastructure in the vicinity of the dig location will be notified. Just keep in mind providing more information is the best practice for safe digging. All stakeholders want you to outline your work area in 3 ways. Digitally, with a sketch or map selection, verbally by referring to fixed structures, and physically with paint or flags when conditions permit. For this project, it's not just a regular old main repair. I'm replacing an old water main with new, and there's also some streetscaping that goes along with. We expect this project to take approximately 3 months to complete, so we'll put that as the expected duration of work. This isn't required, but it's helpful for those responding to your request. I'll just enter my details here. I've run out of space. I'm going to move this down to the remarks section to make sure it all stays together and it's easy to read. Okay, so water main replacement and streetscaping, working from the north edge of the north sidewalk to the south edge of the south sidewalk, and from the westmost lane of Victoria Park Ave to the eastmost lane of Hollow Crown Place, including each lane. Duration of work is 3 months. So I provided plenty of detail for the locators to be able to complete this locate easily. So once I've entered all information, I'm going to click Save at the bottom of the page. As before, if you're missing any information when you click Save, you'll see an error message that will let you know what you have missed and still need to fill out. Here's the next change as well. You'll see a waiver appear concerning the maximum depth of excavation. Basically, what we're saying is that if you need to change your maximum depth of excavation to something deeper, you need to contact Ontario One Call to update your ticket or process a new ticket. If you're not missing any information, you'll be taken to the ticket review screen. You can review, edit, delete, add new tickets, and finish processing your request here. If you need to change something on the ticket, click on the Edit button, which will take you back to the previous page to make your edits. If you decide that you do not need to proceed with your entering this ticket, you can also click on the Delete button. That will remove this locate. If I were to continue to add tickets, they would need to be project work tickets. The next set I'm inputting do not meet the criteria of project tickets, so I'm going to select the Process button. As always, you'll see either the confirmation of which members were notified after processing the ticket or a message that the ticket is under review by an agent. And note, the ticket review may take up to 24 hours before an agent will reach out with questions if necessary. So let's talk about some other scenarios. You've already seen me input a project, so let's do some standard tickets. So I'm going to click Home, and then Create Ticket, and choose my ID. I'll make my temporary changes to my contact information as needed. And for this ticket, the work is being done on behalf of Rogers, which I can select from the drop-down. For my next bit of work, I'll be doing a buried service wire installation. That's installing a new service connection from one point to a customer's house. This next excavation will take me to Guelph. As we've done before, I'll input the address of the excavation. So it'll be 1906 Gordon Street. And next, the intersecting streets appear. The street, cross street, and address all determine which members get notified, and it's the responsibility of the excavator to provide the most accurate information. In this case, the cross street information is incorrect. The correct cross streets are Maltby Road East and Poppy Drive East, which I will enter manually. Maltby Road East is an option, so I'll select that from the drop-down. Poppy Drive East is not, so I'll type that in. Okay, and now we come to the map. Some of you might be asking, when do you use the shape tool versus the line tool when trying to mark out the area you're going to dig? The best way to answer that is to think about the type of work you do. A good portion of Ontario One Call's volume is based around either trenching or trenchless excavation, like rockets, torpedoes, or directional drills. All of you doing service wire work, installing various mains and services could very easily use this equipment to save you some time. If you were to look at your job site from above, you could very likely draw a line from one location to the next. That's what the line tool is for. To begin, we'll need to pan and zoom to the location needed. This one is a little far away from this location here. I've already done my research and looked at the City of Guelph GIS map to identify that my property is located here. So I'm going to select the line drawing tool. My service wire will come from a pedestal, that'll be those brown or green boxes on the side of the road, or a splice pit that will be dug. My instructions from Rogers tell me to take the service from the pedestal, which is here, and connect it to the customer's house, here. Now that I've recorded that line, I'll need to give it a width for that trench. That's the dimension I'm going to give here. I'm going to leave it at 3 feet, but you could stretch it out further depending on the circumstance. The specified width does not go to the locator through inputting in this field. However, this is great information to add later on in the dig size. I will attach that sketch. Next, I'll fill out the other bits of information. I'll be going no deeper than 1 foot on public and private property in an unmarked area by hand and machine and directional drill. I'll request a mark and fax, and I'll also record my width here in the width field. Next, I will select my type of work, buried service wire, and provide my instructions replicating the sketch. So Rogers has told me I need to install or work from PED number ABC 000, and going to the point of entry, or POE, at house number 1906. And I'm working on the front and the left side. You may be asking, why do I need to provide a map selection and give instructions? Some members do not receive the sketches, so if I don't say anything, they won't understand what I'm asking for. This also acts as a double check for you and the locator to ensure your map selection matches your description, acting as reassurance of your proposed dig. Again, the best practice for safe digging means outlining your work area in 3 ways. Digitally with a sketch or map selection, verbally by referring to fixed structures, or physically with paint or flags when conditions permit. Now, it's not physically possible to mark out with paint or flags where I'm going to be working due to the sheer volume of service wire work I have, but I can use fixed structures and a sketch to give a better idea of what I'm asking for. If I can't show my work area digitally, verbally, and physically, I can at least provide the top two. And I will click Save here. And there's our first ticket. So next I'll click Add for my next job. We're now going to go through an off-road scenario. What Ontario One Call would qualify as an off-road locate would be work along a right-of-way, like a pipeline right-of-way, or a hydro corridor, or a similar type of property. This makes it challenging to reference to a street, which is a requirement for Ontario One Call. This request is along a railway, and I'll be working for CP Rail. So I'll make sure to include that in the working for field. I'm working in the community of Ernestown in Loyalist Township. So I'll select that from the drop-down list. Again, I'm working on the railway, not on the street, so that makes the situation a little more difficult. For my dig street, I'll use the closest street that runs parallel to my dig site, and this would be Taylor Kidd Boulevard. The system is saying that Taylor Kidd Boulevard is County Road 23, and that is correct based on my work order. For the intersecting streets, I'll use Camden East Road and Wilton Road. Since I'm working between these two streets and they both intersect Taylor Kidd Boulevard. Since there isn't a civic address, the corner lot question is again grayed out and automatically defaults to unknown, so I'm going straight to the map to make my selection. I'm going to reference my work order and drawing from CP Rail to make sure I select the correct work area. I will need to zoom out, try to find the railway, which is right up here. And here's a side track. So I do know my work location is near that side track, so I'll start zooming in. There we go. And there we are. So I've zoomed into the level they needed to make my selection. I'm going to be working right here. I'll label this as switch 1. And I've got another location, which will be here. So I'll label that switch 2. They're close enough together that I can include them both on one map. So as you can see, the selected shape will become shaded in once completed to show the members where you intend to dig. Multiple selections per attachment are possible, so long as you don't need to move the map to draw the other selection. If you do not wish to keep any of the drawings you created before you attach the selection, you can click the Erase All Drawings button to clear the map screen, but remember you need at least one map selection to process your ticket. Remember, clicking on Attach Sketch will attach whatever is currently in view. Now I'll attach the map selection to my ticket and move on to the dig info section. And for this ticket, I'll be digging to a maximum depth of 4 feet on private property. The area is pre-marked. I'm digging by hand and machine. I'll need to escort the locator to the site since it's controlled and there is a significant safety concern due to moving trains, so I'll check the site meet requested. I'm replacing 2 signal switches, but this isn't an option for the type of work. So I'm going to select railroad. That is what most clearly identifies what work I'm doing. I'm entering this ticket early to make sure I give plenty of time to arrange the site meet and time to run through the paperwork. So I'll put my work to begin date as November 30th. For the detailed description of my work area, I'm going to include replacing 2 track switches, adjacent to side track, parallel to the main line, mark 10-meter radius around each switch. Site meet required for access to the site. And I'd like them to call me in advance to set that up. Since I clicked the pre-marked checkbox, I'll need to say how it's marked so the locator knows where I'm working. So it is pre-marked with the existing damaged rail switches. I'll have a quick look and make sure the data I've entered is all correct. Ooh. And save that ticket. Click I understand to the maximum depth. And I'll click Add for one more ticket. This next scenario is where I'll tackle multiple civics on a single request, as well as boreholes. The next request will be in Hamilton, specifically the Hamilton that's south of Burlington, not the Hamilton near Coburg. This work is being done for a property owner. So we'll input that in the working for field. And then have Hamilton, Hamilton Wentworth as my municipality. So we're going to be working on 2 civic addresses, number 200 and 172 Bay Street South in Hamilton. These are 2 apartment buildings where we're going to be doing some soil investigation. Duke and Robinson as cross streets are correct for number 200, given the map and the Hamilton GIS website that I'm looking at on another screen. But 172 has different cross streets. So I'll click Add here to add the civic address of 200. Then I'll add 172 into that field. As you can see, the system tells me that 200 has 1 set of cross streets. That would be Duke and Robinson Street. And 172 has a different set, which would be Duke and Bold Street. So I'll add Bold Street as my second cross street, as Bold and Robinson are the 2 furthest cross street for my work area. Had my set of addresses all been on the same block, I'd be able to proceed without changing the cross streets here. But it would be unsafe for me to proceed without adequate cross streets for my borehole tickets. can attach a map before you actually make your selection. So my two buildings, this one here is 200 and this one is 172. So we've got our cross street of Robinson Street here and Bold Street up here. So those two properties are between those two cross streets. And I will make my map selections. Going to be bore 1. Bore 2. Those are at 172. And now for the ones at 200. Now I will attach my sketch. For this dig, we'll provide a maximum depth of 3 meters. And we'll dig that by machine. We'd like a mark and fax. Some of these borehole holes are on public property and some of them are on private property. So I'll select both for this ticket. I'll also send someone out to pre-mark the area with white flags and paint today. So I'll select pre-marked. My type of work is boreholes. Now I've got a good idea of the areas I want to sample, but it's not like I can hand dig around the infrastructure without disturbing the areas I want sampled. So I'll be asking for a rather large area around each borehole point. For this one, I do want the standard notification, so I'll set that work to begin date back to the 23rd. So for my notes, I'll have 2 boreholes at number 200 and 2 boreholes at number 172. Please mark 10-meter radius around the locates per sketch and white flags and paint. $10 meters might seem like a lot, but I need to stay out of the hand dig zone of all the utilities. This should give me plenty of flexibility I need to get my job done. And remember, digitally, verbally, and physically show where you want to dig. So I will click Save here. And process. As normal, the system will tell me what an agent needs to review and what will get processed immediately. So now you've seen me walk through 3 scenarios step by step, and it feels like it takes a really long time. This next scenario I'm going to set up and then get done in mostly silence. The next piece of work I'm going to show you is in a newer business and industrial section of town. We're going to do a bit of foundation and services work. There are a number of firms out there that provide full service from footings to landscaping. That's what we've been contracted to do here. This should take us about 120 days to complete. The location is here in Guelph at 99 Cooper Drive. We'll need the full property marked due to the scope of the foundation work, walkways, parking lot, storm pond, and landscaping. None of the work we're going to undertake would be considered ALA work. After we finish processing the request, we're going to ask some questions and get your feedback. We're also going to time it live, so you're welcome to time it along with us wherever you're viewing. And go. Apparently, I did not win this one. Done. Okay, so let's use this chat feature and unpack what we just all saw. So what was my time? Apparently 10 seconds more than Jeff this morning. Okay, let's see here. So I've got 2 minutes, 50 seconds. Now, why did I select project work? All right, perfect, yes. It's the duration of work. So it's be 120 days, which is more than the 30 days. And any idea why I gave an on-site contact when I asked for a mark and fax? Any guesses? Okay, I'll give you this one as a freebie then. So in this scenario, I know there's going to be a lot of subcontractors on site, and I want to make sure the site supervisor's contact information is readily available for questions. Best to get the info from the site super, right? So the cross streets were funky on this one. Quartermain and Felon Court are one and the same out here, and Cooper does not intersect with Hanlon Parkway. So once I get my ticket confirmation, I'm going to email solutions@on1call.com about this map to try to correct it for work in the future. So I think that's enough examples for one day. There's one final change that is scheduled for December 5th, 2016 that we should talk about. So we are removing a filter option for our members. As of December 5th, 2016, geographic clears will disappear as they are incompatible with the changes we'll be making in the future. Members will continue to have other filter options in place such as depth, property type, and type of work. So here's where you'll see the change. This is a copy of our ticket confirmation. It's broken out into the three things you provide us: the contact information, the dig location information, and dig information. We return back a checklist of sorts of members who have been notified. Here's a locate spot near Picton, Ontario. As you can see, many members come up as clear. There are a couple that come up as notified. That would be Hydro 1. Those that are clear may be because there's no buried infrastructure anywhere near the area requested, or because the clear is based on the information provided by me, the excavator. This is what the same location should look like on December 5th, 2016. Note that Bell has disappeared along with a couple others. They had provided a clear based on that geographic area. Only above ground assets exist along that entire block for Bell. So members who are affected may see a slightly reduced bill from Ontario One Call. Excavators will see ticket confirmation become less cluttered and give greater clarity as to why they have received a clear. Upon receiving this particular locate, if I were concerned at the lack of Bell, I would start by verifying that I have the correct streets and cross streets. If they are correct, no need to worry. If they are incorrect, I need to contact Ontario One Call to update my ticket. So if they are correct and my crew were on site and telling me that Bell does have buried infrastructure within my dig site, I'd email solutions@on1call.com and explain the situation in detail. The team from Ontario One Call will assist you in creating the right kind of ticket. This, of course, goes for all members, not just Bell. Thank you all for attending this training for December 5th, 2016 changes to Ontario One Call. I trust you found this educational. Again, once all training is completed, Ontario One Call will create an FAQ covering all pertinent questions and email a copy of that FAQ directly to all registered participants. Further, we'll post a copy to our website. If you think of further questions after today, please feel free to contact us at solutions@on1call.com. In addition to this training webinar, we have also updated our training videos, and they will be available for viewing in December 2016. Check in on our Facebook page or website for announcements on these being available. Dig safe and have an excellent day.